I still remember her exact words, like they were etched into the walls of my mind. "Maybe I should have married my ex," she said, her voice casual, almost playful, like she wasn't just shattering 10 years of my life in one sentence. It was a Friday evening, the kind where the week's exhaustion melts into the couch and you expect peace, not heartbreak. I had made dinner, nothing fancy, just her favorite pasta, garlic bread, and a bottle of red wine. She barely touched any of it. Her phone lit up more than her smile that night. Her name is Samantha, and for the longest time, she was everything I wanted in a woman, driven, witty, the kind of person who could walk into a room and make it brighter. We'd been married 8 years, together for nearly 10. I thought we were past the point of games. But I was wrong. That night, after her careless confession, I didn't shout. I didn't ask questions. I just sat there, staring at the half-empty glass in her hand. She laughed it off. "Don't be so dramatic, James. It was just a joke." But jokes don't feel like knives unless there's truth behind them. The next morning, she acted like nothing happened. She was humming in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone, and planning her weekend brunch. I watched her from the hallway, wondering when exactly she had stopped seeing me as her husband and started comparing me to someone who existed only in her memory. That's when the small things began to click. Her sudden gym membership, her constant texting, the perfume that wasn't hers. I didn't jump to conclusions, but my gut was already screaming the truth. One night, she mentioned his name, Ryan, her ex from college. She laughed while telling a story about him, something about how he once took her on a midnight road trip just because she was sad. The way her eyes softened when she said his name told me everything I needed to know. I smiled through it, pretended not to care, but inside, something in me started to shut down. I stopped trying to win her attention. I stopped chasing the ghost she was still in love with. A week later, I found her sitting on the porch, phone in hand, staring at old photos. When I asked if she was okay, she said, "I'm fine, just thinking about how simple things used to be before everything got boring." That word boring stuck to me like glue. I'd worked my entire life to give her stability, peace, and a home. I thought boring meant safe. To her, it meant lifeless. That night, I decided I was done trying to prove my worth. So I did what I never thought I would. The next morning, I packed a bag. I didn't leave a note. No confrontation, no dramatic exit. I just walked away. I drove until the city lights disappeared, and the silence was the only thing left. For the first few days, I didn't answer her calls. Then they stopped. Weeks passed, and I began to rebuild, small steps, one day at a time. I joined a new gym, picked up guitar again, started sleeping without checking my phone every 10 minutes. And just when I was beginning to feel free, she showed up at my door. Her hair was messy, her eyes swollen, and the confidence she once carried was gone. "James," she whispered, "I didn't mean it. You need to hear me out." I should have shut the door, but something in her voice made me pause. She looked at me like she had just woken up from a bad dream. "Ryan isn't who I thought he was," she said, her voice trembling. That's when I realized, whatever truth she had learned, it had destroyed her more than my silence ever could. For a moment, I didn't say a word. She stood there on my porch, shivering under the morning light, clutching her phone like it was the only thing holding her together. "What truth, Samantha?" I asked quietly. She hesitated. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Then she took a deep breath. "I reached out to Ryan," she admitted. "After you left. I thought maybe that's what I needed. Someone who understood me again." I felt a sting in my chest, but I stayed silent. She went on, eyes darting anywhere but mine. "He didn't want me back. Not really. He said he missed the idea of me. He's married now with 2 kids. When I tried to talk about what we used to have, he said, 'Sam, that was college. We were stupid and wild. You wouldn't survive 5 days with the man I am now.'" Her voice cracked on that last line. It was strange. I should have felt vindicated, but instead I just felt tired. She stepped closer, tears streaming down her face. "I ruined everything, James. You were there every day doing everything right, and I kept looking backward. I thought excitement meant love. I thought being adored was the same as being valued. Her confession filled the quiet space between us. I'd imagined this moment before, her realizing what she'd lost, but I never thought it would sound this hollow. I don't hate you, I said finally, but I can't go back to who I was. You broke something in me I didn't know could break. She nodded, biting her lip like she already knew my answer. I just wanted to tell you the truth, she whispered. Ryan told me something else, too. He said I was selfish for reaching out while my husband was probably healing from me. He said you deserved peace, not explanations. I almost smiled. He was right about that. For a long while, we just stood there, the air heavy with everything that had been said and everything that couldn't be undone. When she left, I didn't watch her drive away. I just closed the door, leaned against it, and let the silence wrap around me like armor. Days passed, then weeks. I didn't hear from her again, but sometimes I'd catch myself remembering the good moments. The road trips, the quiet mornings, the way she used to fall asleep on my shoulder. Love doesn't vanish overnight. It fades, like a photograph left in the sun. One evening, I ran into an old friend at a coffee shop. He asked if I'd heard from Samantha. When I shook my head, he said, "She's been seeing a therapist. Told people she finally realized what she put you through. Guess she's trying to fix herself." I didn't respond. I just sipped my coffee and looked out the window, where the sunset bled into the skyline. Maybe people don't change because of guilt. They change because life forces them to face the mirror. That night, I drove back to the beach where we'd once spent our anniversary. The water was calm, the sand cool under my feet. For the first time in years, I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel broken. I just felt lighter. I took out my phone and scrolled through the old photos I'd never deleted. There she was, smiling, laughing, alive in a way she hadn't been for years. I didn't hate that version of her. I just didn't recognize her anymore. I deleted the pictures one by one. It wasn't revenge. It wasn't closure. It was simply acceptance. As I watched the tide roll in, I realized something. Sometimes the cruelest thing you can do to someone who broke you is to live better without them. Not louder, not colder, just better. The next morning, I packed up my guitar, made coffee, and opened the curtains to let the light in. My phone buzzed. A message from an unknown number. "I'm proud of you, S." I didn't reply. I set the phone down, smiled, and walked outside. The world hadn't changed, but I had. And that, I think, was the truth she was never ready to learn.